So this video, I'm going to throw my 2 cents in on good pistols for new female shooters. And it's going to be kind of a generalization, not so much brand-wise, but I'm just going to show a couple examples, just so that way people can get an idea of what to look for. Honestly, one of my pet peeves is when a new female shooter comes up and says, hey, I want to get into firearms. I hear advice about, okay, here, let's give you a little snub-nosed 38, or let's give you something small. And all that means to me is you're giving a brand new shooter a small, heavy recoiling firearm that has a short sight radius, a possible heavy trigger, and possibly a slide that'll be a little bit harder to manipulate. So that's kind of a pet peeve of mine. So I'm going to throw my 2 cents in. And I encourage you guys and gals to share the video if you'd like. And you can disagree or agree. That's perfectly fine. And be sure to put your comments in the comment section below. All that good stuff. And make sure to like this video if you've ever experienced a lot of weird comments at gun stores or over at gun shows or whatnot, especially in regards to females and firearms. There's a lot of weird comments that I've seen before by so-called experts, and a lot of sexist comments as well. So right here, there's 2 handguns right in front of you. And the reason I have these 2 handguns is I wanted to pull something from my inventory that best shows a visual representation of what I'm talking about. So as far as calibers go, you don't need to be so caliber specific. Most new, well-made firearms that are full size, as far as handguns, their recoil isn't too bad. But one suggestion, if you're wondering if you want me to name a caliber, I'm going to say 9mm. It's very plentiful. It's a low recoiling caliber. It's still useful for self-defense and a lot of other uses, such as like competition, target shooting, all that good stuff. 9mm are also common as far as handguns that employ the round. It's a common round, and every modern handgun out there, I think, has a 9mm model, at least in the U.S. So, first off, 9mm, yes, but let's talk about the gun itself. First off, full size. I know there's a lot of smaller guns on the market, but typical rule is the smaller you get with a gun, you're going to have a little bit of a different recoil impulse. With a full-size gun, or I should say a duty-size gun, and I'm talking 4.5-inch, 5-inch barrel, something like this, Taurus G3, full-size 9mm, or a CZP-10F 9mm. Typically, you have a very soft recoil impulse. The handling is very balanced. There's a good amount of firepower in the gun, which there's a good magazine capacity. And it's very easy to use, very easy to operate, very easy to clean. As far as accuracy, very high accuracy. You don't have to worry about that for most full-size guns. So that's kind of why I recommend those. Now, with that said, when you get a full-size gun, what you have to do is you have to pay attention to a couple of things. Typically, not all the time, but typically, you're going to have an issue with hand size. Females, they typically have a smaller hand size than males. Just my experience and just what I've seen. And I'm kind of, what I'm pulling out of is experience in the gun sales industry. I was in gun sales for a while, working behind the counter and whatnot and dealing with that sort of thing. So I tried to do my best as far as getting people into the right firearms. And one thing I've noticed is, typically the female hand size is a little bit smaller than males. And that creates a different type of need when it comes to firearms. It does no good to get something really big and stubby like an old Gen 2 Glock Model 21 in 45 ACP, and if you guys have handled those old Gen 2 Glocks in 45 and 10mm, you know what I'm talking about. The old Gen 2 Glocks, they're really blocky. It's like holding onto a block. So if somebody has smaller hands, that won't necessarily benefit. It may feel uncomfortable. The Taurus is a full-size gun, but it has a very nominal-sized grip, and the P10 also has a nominal sized. One thing about the P10, which I'll get into here in a minute, it is adjustable. So that's really key. You want to make sure you find something that'll fit well, because the person, and it doesn't matter honestly if it's female or male, and I know this video is geared towards females, but we can talk about males as well that have smaller hands. You want to be able to operate all of the features naturally. Magazine release, slide slap, slide release, any manual safeties, all that good stuff. You want to be able to do, because it's going to become very important when it comes to learning how to fight with a gun, malfunction clearance, all that good stuff. So you want to have something that's very nominally sized. And there's a lot of good examples out there. Most modern handguns, which is going to go into my next point here, they have adjustable sizes on their grips. This P10 right here, for an example, back here, you can change out this back strap. The HK-VP9 is a good example. You could change out the sides and the back strap as well. And guns like the newer Glock generations, you can change out the back strap. The Smith & Wessons, you can do the same. There's a lot of firearms out there you can change it out. This right here, this is more of a budget-priced firearm, so you cannot change out the back strap, but for most people, you'll still be able to use this no problem. So now let's get into more of the function of the firearm. What you want is a firearm that, number one, has a good trigger, that's easy to manipulate, very consistent, and you need to be able to reciprocate the action of the firearm very easily. I'll use this right here first. This is a Taurus, and this Taurus G3, the slide, is extremely easy to manipulate. That is a huge selling point for a new shooter, I believe, getting into the semi-automatic world. It's extremely easy to get a hold of. The slide serrations front and rear are very easy to grab onto and hold onto. So that's going to lend itself well for a new novice female shooter. As far as the trigger, this has a very good, consistent, nice resetting trigger. It's very easy to operate. It doesn't take away from any other aspects of the firearm, which I think is very critical, because for a new shooter, and not just female shooters, for new shooters in general, you need to focus on the gun. If you're focusing too much on fighting the trigger or fighting this or fighting that, then you're not focusing on learning marksmanship and proper handling and all that good stuff. So a good trigger, very easy to manipulate. The slide is a plus. So this right here is another example. This is a CZ P10. Very easy to manipulate the slide. The trigger is an awesome trigger. Very easy, very consistent. Again, these are just a couple of examples. There's a lot of other firearms out there. The Smith & Wesson series, the HK, are a couple other ones that come to mind. Glocks, of course. Glocks aren't too bad. Your mileage may vary with Glocks. It seems like the M&P series for females, they seem to like those. In my experience, what I remember when I was working behind a gun counter, they seem to take to those a little bit more. Maybe it had to do with the grip angle. I don't know. But in any case, those are really important. Next is going to be firepower. Now, of course, state restrictions apply, and all that. And I totally get that, and personal preferences apply as well. But especially if somebody is going to come up to me and say, I need something for self-defense. I'm a new shooter, especially if it's a female looking to get into firearms. I'm going to want to give that person, not just females, anybody, the most type of firepower that they can. So if they can handle a double stack, which most people can, this is a double stack and has a very, very nominal grip profile. This right here is 25 rounds. 24 in the magazine plus 1 in the pipe. This is with the extended right here, so I have 25 rounds. I would have no problem recommending this exact setup for a new shooter, a new female shooter. No problems at all. Because I would want that person, no matter what, to have as much going for them as possible in regards to firepower. Why would I want to say, here's a 5-shot snub nose with a short sight radius, heavy recoil, heavy trigger, Very hard to reload, even for a skilled shooter in a stressful situation. But here, why would I recommend that for a new female shooter when I can recommend this? A 9mm that's easy to use, full size, accurate, good trigger. In this case, 25 rounds on board. The only thing that I'd have to add to this, I guess, for self-defense, you don't have to, but you can throw a light on there, you'd be good to go. It seems like a no-brainer to me. Same with this Taurus, which is G3, I think is one of the best values out there. I don't know how available they are right now, December 2020, with the gun panic going on, but I mean, this thing is 18 rounds. 17 rounds in this magazine right here, plus one in the pipe. 18 rounds of a gun that has low recoil, very flat shooting, consistent trigger, easy to reach manipulations, high magazine capacity, all that stuff. I mean, why would I suggest anything else? I'm not a fan of handicapping somebody. In self-defense, we don't fight fair. We fight to stay alive and to stop the threat. I'm going to use every little advantage possible. So that's why I lean towards these. Again, yeah, I know your mileage may vary with the stuff and everybody has different opinions, but I would suggest, now keep in mind if they're looking for an everyday concealed carry type application, that's a little bit different. There's other avenues and there's a lot of good guns there. I'm not talking about that specifically in this video. This is more just the full-size realm, general self-defense in the home and whatnot. Maybe I'll buy some more firearms that are more subcompact, and then I can talk about that in a different video in the future. But this is just something I wanted to put out there and throw my 2 cents in. I fully believe in if number one, if a brand new female shooter comes up to you and says, I want to learn firearms, get them a firearm, a full-size firearm, a good fighting gun. Show them the fighting guns. Get them out there shooting the fighting guns. You'll see their confidence just increase exponentially even on that first range visit. And to me, being able to give that first step to somebody, like a female or whatnot, looking to purchase their first firearm, and then watch their confidence go, watch them feel empowered, watch them get more independence, I think that's really important. So anyway, enough yammering out of me. Just wanted to throw my 2 cents in. Males, I'll leave this with this. Males, leave your egos out of this. If somebody, female's coming up to you, whether it's a significant other, daughter, it doesn't matter. If you work behind a gun counter and a female's coming up to you sincerely looking for a tool for self-defense like a handgun, put the ego away and help them. Because number one, you do not know why they're looking for a firearm. They may be looking for a firearm just to get into it, something recreationally, or they could be having an issue right now, possible domestic abuse, possible stalker situation, something really going on where they feel the need to get something to defend themselves. So do what you can to help them. Leave the ego out of it, and please, please help them to the best of your ability. All right, thanks a lot for watching. As always, stay safe and stay sane.